Yes, here we go. It's the T.N.F. Thursday evening forum. It kind of is, though, more than the Thursday night forum. I'm going to go out after this, I think, Mark. I'm going to go to a mate's house. So I was like, let's just pull it an hour early. Why not? And
Why
then
not?
I'll let the festivities commence. And do you know what? No one's more excited to be on here than the Holy Goalie. He's right in there with a big yes comment. So we've maybe caught some folk unawares. Just to confirm as well, Judge, we are 100% live this week. So I promise
Yes.
you won't need to be repeating the same points of view a
Well,
second time. Sorry about that again.
I think I'm bad listening to it once now. I mean, twice on the same point, so it's your own doing. You deserve that, to be honest. But I mean, it's like it's twice it's happened in 2 years now, so that's not bad. That's
That's
not
not a
bad.
bad ratio for a bunch of idiots. Do you know what I mean? We're
Of
doing all
course,
right.
mate.
We're,
Of course.
we're doing all right. Anyway, it is the night we hand over the keys to use, and we are always looking for as many points from the viewers as possible. I know there's a few talking points, as there always is in the land of Celtic, and we'll be getting through them initially. And then, as I say, we'll be turning to you guys for your points. If you get your points in, put the wee hashtag TNF at the beginning, and it makes it easier for me to sort of see it in amongst the array of comments flooding on the bus for the passengers. And I'll get them starred, and hopefully we'll have time to get through all of them, if not as many as possible. Also, remember all that good stuff. Excuse me. That's my dinner coming up there, I think.
The salmon
All that
joke.
good stuff. What was it? Where was that? All that good stuff. Remember, give us a wee like, give us a share. As always, you can slag the hair. And remember as well, there is an option to become a Bhoycie Bus member. It's $1.99 a month. Simply keeps the wheels on the road, shows your support for the channel. We are still providing you at least 5 shows a week, a minimum of 5 shows a week, often more than that. And there's now an audio show as well. Remember, on all your normal podcast platforms, Spotify, iTunes, all that carry on. Remember, the carpool is there under the Bhoycie Bus umbrella. It is available to listen to after tonight's forum if you've not already. Anyway, Judge, dun, dun, dun. Over to you, mate. How's your week been? In the land of Celtic, we remain top of the table.
Oh, I mate. I mean, let's not forget that this was supposed to be the week that we'd go second, and it was going to be a total implosion, as that mob caught. At the end of the day, nothing happened that we didn't expect to happen. We just won the match. Whether they scored 4 goals, 5 goals, or 3, realistically, it's still the same thing, boys. We're joint first or joint second, the way you want to look at it. I think psychologically, I think for them not to get over that hurdle or going tap even midweek, I think it maybe puts a wee teensy bit of doubt. I think I looked at the stats, they had like 425 shots in target, so it must be one of the nights for them. But I think psychologically, I think the fans would have been wanting even that third and fourth goal, and even the referees adding minutes on. I don't think we can sit here as a fan base and totally get angry about the added minutes, because boys, we've had penalties in the first minute, the last minute, the last couple of weeks. We've had all the ammo for us to kill teams. With a penalty the first minute against Ross County, a penalty in the third minute against Hibs in a very tricky match, and a penalty in the 90th minute. Albeit they were all penalties, I'm not suggesting they weren't, but I'm just saying I don't think we can start concerning ourselves too much with the referees. We play the referees every week in this country, so yeah, I don't think it's any different this week. But I think the hurdle of Easter Road and the cup game at St Mirren had to be taken. You know what I mean? And we took them. The performances weren't as good as what some folk think, listening to analytics, but we got the wins. And see right now, I'm of the opinion right now that my heart might not take it, but I'll accept 13, 14 really bad performances if we get the results, because we're not going to get the swashbuckling football. No point talking about that. We're not going to get new signings now. So the window's over. Let's forget about that. Let's focus on the players that are there, the manager who's there. We'll like to give the guy a fresh start as of Saturday. I'm going up and doing with the guy all season, boys. See, I've never had that. I love him and I hate him, but I
Yep.
think for now, you know what I mean, if we want the best outcome for this Celtic team, we're going to have to behave in a totally supportive way. Don't be sycophantic. Don't happy clap. Watch the board, as we always say. I think that's going to happen against Kilmarnock. 1-1-0. 5-0 or get beat, it's going to be the same outcome. We're going to have to put pressure on the board whenever we can. But I think we should draw a line under a lot of things that's happened this season, because right now we don't need any background noise. We need the Celtic fans and the players, manager, and the club to be going in one direction, because I think divided we fall. You know what I mean? That's a good saying, Bhoycie, because I think when you start to separate factions amongst the support, you see what happens. We get our key supporters groups banned, and the team loses a bit of something on the park. There's infighting, and when you see the manager and the board arguing with each other about transfers, it's the team and the club that suffers. And I think right now it's a case of forget about that, Bhoycie, and let's go on with the rest of the season. Starting on Saturday against Kilmarnock, who have been a very tricky opponent this season for Celtic, but let's just get into it, man. Let's go for it, because Celtic are going to win this league for multiple reasons, but none more so than for us just to have that day in the sun. I think we start talking about Champions League and all the rest of it. That's for another day. Celtic just need to win the league for the fans. Finances are secondary, in my opinion, just now.
Well, Judge, you are speaking my language. This was a point I was trying to make on Monday with Jonathan. Very, very similar to yours. I was saying, I'm delighted to hear that for yourself as well, pal, because we all know you are, without a doubt, the loudest voice, shall we say, concise as well with all your opinion, but I would say not harsh in the sense that it's harsh, the criticism you give, but you know the terminology, harshest critic of all things Celtic. And even you're like that. See everything that's driving me nuts about this operation right now, and everything that's annoying me about the manager, I'm willing to park it right now, because we're needing to support the team. And I totally agree with that. I love the fact that you say you've been up and down with Brendan this year. I think it's a brilliant way to describe it. There's been times at the beginning of the season when we had it, though, you remember the draw with St Johnstone and things, I thought, wow, look at him. He looks a bit lost in all this. It's almost like he didn't quite come back to the fanfare that he thought he would get. And he didn't have the background team behind him. And so when he was standing a wee bit isolated, I felt it looked like a manager had lost his poise and didn't quite have that same aura as what he'd had first time round. And we've had then moments where you thought, you win at Ibrox with that back four, that's fucking Messiah stuff, mate, to have done that Lagaby Hillcut and Scales at the back. Was it played the centre back, wasn't it?
Yep.
Lagaby Hillcut, aye. And it was, you looked at that back four at the end, thought, I think the quote at the time was, that back four will never start against Rangers ever again. So to have went to Ibrox and get that result was a real high. And then you've had, I thought, moments in Europe where I felt in Europe this year was more, and it swings in, it's very small margins here, I should say. But I did still think there was a slight improvement in the European performances from what I thought we competed. I know people get attracted to the flash 30 minutes against Real Madrid, but it still brought a 3-0 home defeat under Ange. I thought Rodgers' side looked more set up for Europe this year, and there was just a couple more encouraging signs. Not loads, but again, I would give him plus points on that. I then think there's been moments where he's let himself down. I think he let himself down with the transfer window initially in the summer. I think he let himself down by coming out and saying that he had full approval of all the players that had came in to then never want to use them. And I think that tells you told a porky at the start. And I think if I'm being totally honest, the reason he did that was there was a wee bit of arrogance, maybe similar to the comment about I'll see you back here in May, where he thought, if they're bringing me in £3 million players, of course I'll win this league. But he's not actually vetted them. He's not checked them. And I think that came back to bite him a wee bit. The comment the other week for me about, if it's not me getting booed, it'd be the board getting booed, etc., I thought was totally unacceptable. As far as I'm concerned, that was a real low point. But I've got to look at the positives right now. And one of the debates that we've been having over the last week, Mark, since you've last been on, has been, see when you look at all you've described it perfectly many a time, a board of the fans. Remember, you've done this whole, you said the whole synopsis you've given of what the backstory is to Celtic this season, and you've went, that doesn't lead to success. Maybe we've got to then go, well, would other managers have us in the position where we're top of the league after 26 games? Or however many it is, 25 games. You know what I mean? Would they have been able to have got us here? Or would they have crumbled with all that other goings on? Players they didn't want, a board not willing to get your targets you identify, fans getting banned, as you say, fans hating on the board, fans not convinced by you, so many different things. Players that are maybe not buying into your tactics. You know, all these different factors that you've described it really well in the past. And I'm just thinking now, who else would have had us top of the league under all that then, after this number of games played? Maybe, just maybe, we have to go, he's doing okay. He's doing okay. I think there's been ups and downs along the way, but if we give him the full backing that he and the team deserve, the reason for that being the badge on their shirt, mate, not the Parma one I'm wearing, the Celtic badge on the shirt. When they're wearing that, they deserve our full support right to the end of the season. It doesn't mean you take your eyes off the board. It doesn't mean, oh, you've changed, you've pivoted on where you thought. No. I think Mark's spot on. You win a game full time. Why not turn your eye on the board at full time? Why not do that? But yeah, just your thoughts on all of that, Mark. I'm glad though you've opened the show with what you have, because I'm fully on board with that too, pal.
Oh, definitely, Bhoycie. I think we've got to be together. And I'm not just saying that as some slogan or some sort of, buy-in with the fans who are expecting, all the nicey stuff for the wider support. I think we've got to be, Bhoycie. Like, I really don't know how you can be successful if you're not going the one direction together. You know what I mean? And 100%. My worry is 3-4 good results and Peterwho. That's my worry, Bhoycie. I think we've got to definitely have it cemented in our head. But I think it can wait for other times, I think it can wait for after matches. I think it can wait for summertime. I think there's already been pressure within the club. I think it's no secret now that I think Mark Lawell is going to be gone in the summertime. I think that's came off the back of some very, very vocal Celtic fans, and this is the thing now. Like, we've not got much of a sway on the board. We've spoken about it before about finances and that. They don't need us as much as they used to, Bhoycie. Let's be honest. They've got people queuing up to buy my ticket, your ticket. So it doesn't matter to them. But in terms of like the Lawell situation, with Mark Lawell, sorry, I think it's been made very clear with Rodgers that 11 players since he came in and one started at St Mirren. And you go, that was a must-win cup tie. That wasn't like the usual Celtic run-of-the-mill cup game. That was a must-win. The psychological blow it was getting put out of that Scottish Cup the week where Rangers could get top of the league would have been tremendous. So he chose to start one of them, and it could have been none. Let's be frank about that. It could have been none of them, right? Going on form. I think that was a key indicator for any Celtic fans what Brendan Rodgers thinks of the recruitment. I believe Rodgers that he's been given a list of players who's just been no up to scratch. I think the club has been doing work as such, but it's been very, very poor work. You know what I mean? And my worry is if Mark Lawell is gone in summertime. I've got two questions on that, right? First question: if he's gone in summertime, what work's he doing just now until summer? And number two, if the guy's coming in the summertime to replace him, is he going to be taking on the scouting players, the players scouted that Mark Lawell's dug out the net? You know what I mean? It doesn't add up, Bhoycie. If he's gone in summertime, he should go now, because surely the groundwork for the summertime started just now. You've got to at least give the club that.
Strange job position, Mark, to work your notice in when your notice is recruitment for the future. That's a great point.
And do you think, we all know Mark Lawell isn't going to get sacked at the breakfast table. We know that, right? But it's no like it's like almost like they're trying to save the guy's reputation and his career, but by keeping him in a job till summertime, like it's this mutual conversation they've had. It's not worked out. The guy's not got a career in football, so we don't need to do that. I think Celtic have got to be ruthless. I think it starts with him. It does start with him, because I think it does kind of bode well for the Rodgers situation, where you're saying to yourself, Rodgers hasn't been backing this guy's signings, and you go, right, well, one of them's got to go there, and Lawwell's went. I never seen that coming. You know what I mean, Bhoycie? But I do think it's fair that you take it at face value. The guy's going to be leaving in summertime. Great, we're all buzzing about that. But seeing you actually sit down and your brain just process it, you're going, well, if he's here till summertime, the players that he's scouting are Mark Lawell players. If the guy's coming in, he's got to be taking the Mark Lawell baton. But in the meantime, is that guy getting any place scouting these players? Because it's like, for instance, you hiring a manager, he has all summer window, and then the first day of the season, sack him and bring somebody else in. That's what it's like, because the guy's picking up somebody else's work. You know what I mean? And if the rumours are true, which I think they are, the amount of sources that are quoting it, I think Mark Lawwell's for the chop. But I don't know your opinion on that, on Bhoycie, because do you not think if he's going to go the new or summer, it tells me there's bigger problems with the scouting network than just a guy himself? Is he just the face? Is he the fall man? Is he the one that's going to get hit in the head over his dad or over the rest of the scouts? Because if he's just the one that's gone, he takes the blame for the windows. Why is it going to be in summertime when the work should be started the new for summer?
It's $1 million question. It's a $70 million question, you could say, because I just don't get that. That is a job that is all about future planning. It's literally the role. But I'm just working my notice period. So what, you can lay then the foundations for the future you're not a part of. I'm going to guess there's a bit of common courtesy in here, and they're not wanting to slap bang in the middle of the season, get rid of him. I wonder if it's more of a gardening leave than a working his notice, Mark, to be perfectly honest with you. But the nepotism in there, you never fucking know, do you?
You don't know. You don't know. And you'll never get any clarification on the subject. I mean, the key position at Celtic Football Club is the CEO. Excuse me. I mean, Don Mackay, he could have run amok at Celtic. We don't know why he left. We've all got a good theory why he left, but we're still none the wiser why the biggest, the most important figure at the club lasted 3 months. The guy came out with balloons and flower in his shirt. I mean, it was all the Ange interview. It was all the fan media. You know all that. And then he was gone before he even finished his first quarter of the year. And you think,
he tried to bring change, didn't he?
I mean, it's bizarre, Bhoycie, and it's typical Celtic. I mean, probably is there a bigger club than Celtic out there that behaves the way we do with a lot? I mean, I told you last week we got the guy in charge of a golf shop as a European scout, and you look at their CVs, look at Mark Lawwell's CVs, and they had a bit of digging. Turns out he was in charge of some fucking website or something, man, for the City group, but it isn't even as good as what Celtic pretending it is.
Of course. We could all surmise that. I think we just didn't know the ins and outs, as you rightfully point out. But, Mark, just to take us on a wee bit of a tangent, right? This is a very interesting conversation. I know it's one that you're aware we've had in the group chat recently. This doesn't go as, this goes, further back than people might think, or people might realise. There's been favouritism from this board and dodgy favours done a lot more than just hiring the likes of your son and elevate him to the head of recruitment. We witnessed in 2005-06 season, someone described, maybe even by Celtic, or that was the sort of squirrel they put out to the press, as Chris Sutton's replacement was joining because he could play centre back, he could play up front, and he was flying for Brighton and Hove Albion. Celtic shelled out £1.5 million for Adam Virgo. Now, that on the face of it sounds like a project signing that didn't work out. We've got loads of them. What are you on about, Bhoycie? Have a wee look a wee bit deeper into that, and you realise Gordon Strachan is best friends with Mark McGee. Mark McGee's the Brighton manager. Gordon Strachan's the Celtic manager. Brighton and Hove are facing serious financial issues at the time. There's £1.5 million for your asset. Now, you could call us crazy, but this trick is repeated by them two in terms of what they did when Strachan hired as the sort of chief exec role, what we had at Dundee, hired Mark McGee bizarrely to try and save them from relegation as the Dundee boss. Also, Gordon Strachan went to Middlesbrough, and he kind of doubles down on this. He does too. Strachan goes to Middlesbrough, and he asked Mark McGee basically, who's your most valuable player? Because Aberdeen needed to sell a player. Lee Miller was the one, and they paid 750,000, I believe it was, for Lee Miller. Lee Miller never kicked a ball for Middlesbrough under Strachan. He had no interest in playing him whatsoever. That was a favour to a mate who was in charge at Aberdeen. Mark McGee was the Aberdeen manager, mate. These are like, so it's not, this is me alleging things. This is me telling you some facts and then going, wow. Also that summer, Strachan manages to arrange for Celtic to sell to Middlesbrough Scott McDonald, Stephen McManus, Barry Robson, Willow Flood, Chris Killen. And I think that has been I'll clear the decks for you, Pat. And I think that's when Lawell and Strachan were completely in cahoots. So some of the decisions, what I'm trying to say here, that get made at this top level, or whatever we all are told we know nothing about and don't have the smarts to be able to debate, these people aren't making every decision, I don't think, executive-based, Mark. These guys, the nepotism that we've seen at Celtic of late. But yeah, just an interesting wee takeaway there that's kind of, well, very Celtic-related, but also all done whilst Lawwell's were in situ.
Oh, well, you look at you remember the cleaner found the scouting report for the summertime, the ins and outs, remember? We'll sell Kieran Tierney if this comes in and we'll buy this defender, remember? It was left lying on a desk and some cleaner
That's right.
It. Just when the Adam Virgo, I listened to, I think it was Martin Riley, Neil Lennon's agent, he was his agent, and he was asked, was there a player you thought, I'm going to make nothing on you? And he went, aye, Adam Virgo. He said, I sold him to Celtic. He said, for day one, I thought, I'm never going to make a penny off of you. You're just hopeless. And I actually think it was off the ball he was on. And I was sitting, I was like, oh, fuck, it didn't surprise me. We all saw him play. I mean, one time he played at Ibrox and I wanted to put my heat through the telly. I just watched the guy. And
I watched him, interesting, I watched him very quickly. I watched him at Fourth Bank, Celtic reserve game. We were playing Hearts. And we all just decided to dog school for the afternoon. I think I had like a free period. And I thought, well, it's only fucking standard grade French for 40 minutes. I'm not going to get fluent in that. So I just fucked off at lunchtime. We all went down. It was like a Tuesday or something. And they were playing at Stirling Albion's ground. And watching them up close. Like, and this is too close. You know, this isn't Celtic Park where you've got the vantage point. This is like, I actually think I might sign for Celtic when I leave school. I actually think I've got a chance.
Do you went back to school and done the French test? No, I totally agree, boys. And do you know what? We like to put this kind of comfort blanket on ourselves that we give Celtic more credit what they're due. We think Celtic are doing their due diligence. There's a process and there's a follow-up process and there's a follow-up. I think a lot is a wee black book, boys. I've said it for years. I've got a black book. Do Dan. He's kind of dodgy, you know. He's got Mark Lawwell's contacts in the City group. You've got Dermot Desmond if you want a manager. And see after that, it comes down to like Ange signing players that we never knew existed. You know, I've said that a million times on this show, and we will excel domestically or in Europe in spite of what our club gears. You know what I mean? And the board, in spite of the board's meddling, we will do well. You know what I mean? We'll never be successful because of the board's strategy. I think that's a bit of a myth. I think guys like Van Dijk might have been an excellent spot by a scout, but the groundwork and hard work was done by the player himself and the coaches as well. I think these guys are only found. These guys don't stone out in a league and then Celtic sign them. I think there's more to it than that, boys. I think there's like
wee bit of insight on that. Insight on the Van Dijk one was apparently when Lennon got him recommended, Lennon's went over to Holland and said the biggest shock was, he goes, you get like a wee sort of section where scouts and all that all sort of congregating and watching. He said there was no other representative of another club there. Not one at that Groningen game. And he was like, I was convinced he had a knee injury or something really bad. He was like, none of this made sense. He goes, you watched them once and you knew straight away, oh my days. But how's there no other, there wasn't even another representative of another football club at that Groningen game. Or Groningen.
It's funny you should say that. I was at, my dad used to have tickets in the main stand. I was there with Uncle Tiny. And so we moved along a wee bit and there was we had John Guidetti at the time, and he was performing really well. And there was a scout for, is it Nice in France, I think it was, and in his notepad, I got talking to him, and see after about half an hour, he closed his book. Then he come back and sent it off. He just closed his book, and then walked away and then come back out. He was doing the wee stairs into the posh bit and never come back out again. That's just a wee story for you. I remember
That's brilliant.
Wow. And one time I went through St Johnston a couple of times doing hospitality through there, and I was sitting, so I was here, Alana was there, and Mark Cairney was next to me. In fact, Neil Lennon was in the room in front of me, and he was up scouting. He was working for Brighton at the time. He was up scouting a player. I didn't get that out of my end like that. He was up scouting.
Mark Butch was a head scout for Brighton, believe it or not.
He was up scouting, and he's been notepad out, and he's fancy shoes. His shoes are like cracking. And just for you mentioned that there, but it just shows you like, see that type of scouting. I'm not sure if that still exists the way it did even a couple of years ago. But I saw that Y scouting and you're right, all that Y scout stuff, and I think there's no better judgment than going watching a player, because if you see, look at Palmer's stats, I think I might be wrong here, it's something like 16, 17 goals and assists this season.
Yeah, goal contributions, yep.
Yeah, I'm fair dues as a signing and a half. But my eyes tell me he's no fucking a signing and a half. You know what I mean? I think sometimes I know the days of Celtic sending the manager on a Monday afternoon to Holland to watch the game the Tuesday night. I know what the days are over. I know that it's all about scouts and all about computers and numbers and all the rest of it. The Brighton model works, and that American baseball film, it's all about numbers. That does work to a certain extent. You know what I mean? But I think your biggest test is the eyes, Bhoycie. You know what I mean? And I'm not entirely sure that process works well enough at Celtic. I think Celtic will have key principles that our players have got to have, attributes and the rest of it. And anytime you hear like Ange, like, I wanted to hear the guy's personality. I wanted to see the guy's actual body language. I wanted to see if he was a good personality. And you go, there's more to signing a player than just watching these videos and these compilations by the player's agent and the Y Scout information and all the rest of it. There's more to it than that. I think Celtic are trying their best to mess up the players they're put in front of Brendan Rodgers by looking at these analytics that probably when it's probably a small sample size, considering they're under 21, none of them's in a high league or a high value league. I think we're focusing too much on.
I'll be frank, Mark. I'll take your role for the night, mate, because you've been awfully reasonable tonight. Awfully reasonable. I'm going to take your role. I think Celtic jump on bandwagons when it comes to the recruitment, mate, and they think they strike gold with one, and they go, "It'll all be like that," and then you just keep following suit until the well or whatever well it is they found themselves down runs out. It tends to be after the first nugget. That tends to be what happens. I think the Asian market one under Andrews is so obvious. He's identified Maeda first and foremost. He wanted to be his first signing essentially that summer. And the club basically said, look, you can get him, but it'll be January. Okay, I want Kyogo next. Now you look at Maeda and Kyogo, they're first team regulars still for Celtic 2.5 years ago. Maeda's got plenty of flaws in his game, to say the least. But he is regarded by both Ange and Brendan as part of very much of first team plans, as is Kyogo. I think what we then seen was, the Hatate arrived at the same time as Maeda as well. Again, another first team regular. We then just started going, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go off to Asia and let's try and they'll all be just like that, won't they? And I think they've been guilty of this through time, doing similar sort of moves. And I actually think the whole model is one big bandwagon that sign a player under 23 years old or younger, sell him for big profit. That's how it works, right? And they've not moved whatsoever with the times. They've not shifted their dynamic based on where our team's currently at, which really fucking annoys me because everything's a sum of moving parts. So at times Celtic are in a position of strength. We do the same thing as what we would do if we were in an okay position. Sometimes Celtic need a big rebuild, and often we do very similar things to what we're doing. I don't see enough reacting to the current situation we're in. And it all comes down to one thing. They do not have the courage of their convictions to be aggressive in a market. I said this on Twitter the other day. See, any business, whether it be football or anything, any business that is averse to risk will either go stale and then inevitably regress. I think that is in plain sight at Celtic Park right now, pal.
Oh, definitely. I think all you've got to do is look at the second or third choice players for even 12 months ago who are now sitting in first 11 place jerseys at Celtic Park, and I think that is regression in a nutshell for Celtic. You've got there was no plan. I don't think any player that's been brought in for January, for summertime really now, or brought in automatically to be first choice in their position, and that is regression because the players that are left behind were normally second or third choice. We've got our second choice right back, second choice left back, I don't know, 3, 4 and 5 choice centre backs options, and it's all in the park. We're seeing these stats, and I think you're right. I mean, Bernardo, I think I'm 50-50 now where he's decent, but I think Jota worked at Benfica B, so he'll work too. And see if Bernardo does work, we'll sign the keeper for there. We'll sign the left back for there. You know what I mean? This is what Celtic do.
That's
right.
my point, mate. That's it in a nutshell. You're nailing it.
And I think if we went out, you remember we got the two boys for Dundee United. They worked out great. We signed two more. We signed Chief J and then we signed the boy Rangers wanted. Oh God, Scott Allen.
We did. That's right. Yes, Scott. Was that for Hibs in the end, wasn't it? But he was part of that Dundee United core.
Aye.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And you go, and as I'm saying, I think sometimes we think Celtic are, this, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You see, I think if I spent a full day inside Celtic, all access, I think I'd come out the club, really with a tainted vision of how well their club is run, because I don't think it is run well, boys. I know it's not the conversation we're having just now, but when you talk about just the road we're going doing just now, even the Abada stuff, boys, I think the Abada stuff, I mean, I think it's been pretty clear that boy probably needed to get out of the club. Now, I think they've let these windows close. I mean, the markets were opened, and I think Rodgers said on the weekend there, look, he's not with it. We gave him a few. See if you're getting days off, boys, to clear your head in a pressure situation at Celtic with Scotland's eyes on you. You've got stuff happening in his own country, which we'll not get into. That should be
so the solution for him would be to go, wouldn't it? I've got a feeling. I think he'll be away. I think he'll be away by the summer, if not before. There'll be other markets, remember. For certain markets, it will still be open now. I predicted we would get about double bubble. I think Leo Labada cost about 3.5 million. I says, see when he was on fire for Ange, particularly season 1, where if you remember, see right at the start where we were fucking still finding our feet, to say the least, it was actually Abada who was getting a lot of goals, taking responsibility as a kid. It was ridiculous for a 19-year-old to be doing that. Second season, big moments, scoring goals, no problem. A first-time finisher. That's what he always was as well. I like that. He's impulsive. Don't give him too long to think. All the sort of unexpectedness that he's got in his game, all that sort of excitement seems to have went. And then we combine it with all these other off-field issues. And what we'll find is a player whose market value will no longer be what I think Crystal Palace was something around 11-12 million pound mark. Yeah. I think now we're looking half that. I would say you'd get about half that for him. But I think they'll actively, very quickly, I think they'll actively be trying to get him out ASAP as opposed to necessarily waiting to the summer. And that's not to be nasty. I think it's best for the boy as well.
It must be, but he can't be sitting celebrating in front of Celtic fans. Now, a photo goes back to Israel and there's a Palestine fucking flag or something. I mean, his life will be hard to live. But see, you think about it and you go, Abada just sums it up. I think he got a new contract in summertime there or just after. And you say to yourself, I've heard Rodgers saying it and Ange saying it, like season 3 for a player is normally just the turnaround. We get 2 years out of a player. Like, You go, right, we've got players into their third years at Celtic and we're putting them on 4 or 5 year contracts. See if they're no left Celtic by season 3, they're probably not good enough to progress as a player. So they should be, I think O'Reilly, Matt O'Reilly, for talking sake, he's on season 3, I think, because he came in halfway through a season, so there's no doubt he's moving on. He's got the ability. He's going to go, even if he goes to England to like an Aston Villa or something, he's going to move on to bigger and better things, right? In terms of the stage he's got to be playing at, the money he's got to be earning. That guy's going to progress. I think if we get players that are playing getting their third full season and you've not sold them yet, the big offers not come in yet, I don't see the merit in putting them on 5 year contracts. And I've even questioned now like the merit in giving Carl McGregor a 5 year contract. I think his body's been through that much shit that at his age of 30, he's looking at a 33-year-old, you know what I mean? He's still fitness, he's still great. So him at 35, I think it's going to be a struggle. I think Carter Vickers, through his injuries, best player for Celtic in terms of pure ability.
It's in fashion for Celtic right now, Mark. This is what we do. We just give everyone 5 year deals because we've given it to one player. It's the same as the recruitment. It's in vogue to them.
See when Celtic go and buy a 26-year-old who is £6-7 million with a good career and give 5 year contracts, that's when you get excited, Bhoycie. See when we start getting guys that are 28, 29 who have probably played their very best at the football up at that stage, 5 year contracts, you're plotting a path for them to go down the way. Because a winger starts to regress at the age of 29, 30. A striker normally peaks 29, 30 and then takes a sharp down. These things are all key metrics. There's metrics to this. It's all available data. Anybody that wants to look at it. And you go, left full-backs are going to slow down. Centre-backs is probably a different position. I think a centre-back like a keeper. You don't need pace as such. You need concentration. You need your, what do you call it, that mental awareness to stay in position. That will stay with you into your 32, 33. But age does catch up with you. You know what I mean? And I don't see the benefit of getting guys hitting 30, 4 or 5 year deals. If they're 22,
okay.
And if you're Stan Petrov, is saying to the club, I'll sign a contract with you, so you get double the cash, I get extra money in the team, and then I sell a book at the same time. Fair dues. Matt O'Reilly, same thing. I think the rest of them, it's like remember the one Scott Bain, James Forrest?
Yeah, the Scott Bain one I think pissed Ange off as well. I think that was one of the ones that, listen, me and you are in total agreement. He goes to Spurs anyway. Like we all accept, me and you particularly accept that. But I think that would be one of the moments in that second season went, okay, that wasn't anything to do with me. That's not quite the decision I would have made had I been involved in it.
No.
But notwithstanding that, take Bain out the equation. I think he's more of an anomaly to what the conversation we're having, because when you focus on the first team ones, you've then got to remember, Mark, it's a sin then if someone comes in for a Cameron Carter-Vickers who's only got 18 months left in his deal and suddenly we're selling. Just say he's not had these injuries and we've sold, and a club had bid in January. He's only got 18 months left. It's 6-7 million, and we go. He tells the club, now that club is bidding for me, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not signing a new deal. And you're then in no man's land, basically just getting your money back mid-season and panicking. By securing them, I don't think it's all with this view to having a team of 30-year-olds in it. I think it's very much with a view of it just secures the maximum value for the player whenever that bid comes in. On the contrary as well, though, to be totally honest with you, with your point about players deteriorating, I also think streetwise and savvy is something that's missing and been missing from Celtic sides, only been apparent in very, very few individuals. And I actually think someone like Joe Hart, when he arrived and looked like, wow, he's got his shit together. He's holding the dressing room a wee bit together as well, leading by example. He was a broken, like in terms of professional career, by the way, let's just, disclaimer, but broken man professionally when he joined.
Aye.
This guy was third choice at Spurs, having been a Premier League title winner, and was only 32, 33 when he joined us. He was the one that was needing really the sort of pickup. We didn't have enough pros that were experienced in that dressing room to be that guy for Joe Hart. He had to take on that mantle. I wonder if there isn't, while you're talking about the statistics and whatever. I do think the game's also changing, and I think you would have to agree. From when we were growing up, there's a hell of a lot more players now that can do it in their mid-30s than could when we were growing. A hell of a lot more, and I do think experience is crucial in a dressing room. And while Celtic seems so hell bent on just using this one strategy, 23 or under, hopefully they'll be a rough gem. Hopefully we can sell them on for profit. I think that's left us a wee bit lacking experience at times, if I'm totally honest. And I like the idea of having maybe a few guys there that they might not necessarily be always impacting the first team. Cal McGregor, a case in point, for the next 5 years. But I like him being around. I still think there's massive benefits when if the majority of signings, and it will be the majority still, no matter what model we switch to, if we were to switch, there'll be a hell of a lot of young boys in there. And I think it's quite good to have older players on. And like I say, even when it comes to on the park, Mark, streetwise is a word we've not used about Celtic teams since Strachan's team, in my opinion. That was a team that was streetwise when they had to be. O'Neill's is obviously the most iconic one for that sort of trait. But I think it's in Strachan's side. Correct me if I'm wrong. Lennon's side wanted to be streetwise, but we're all too wet behind the ears. They were wild that we were the one in the league. Had those guys been 3-4 years older, the core of that first team. But there is an argument, do you know what I mean? To have just styles make fights, and I think we right now are too imbalanced with the youth and all that sort of carry on.
You're right, and I think the last few weeks we've seen Joe Hart. I mean, he's pulling off saves. I think we've still got these moments where your heart's in your mouth with him, but he's pulled off some saves in key moments. It's like he's clicked into action. When Celtic have got, when it's got a bit shaky at the club, he's actually stood up and recounted. I think McGregor's performances have been pretty lacking, but I think his heart's been there. You know what I mean? And I mean, just on Hart, I think I don't even care how it sounds. I think Anthony Ralston's made a big difference to Celtic the last couple of weeks. Ralston's come in. I think you look at the goal v Hibs. I don't think that happens with Fulham. I really don't. I think there's been a lack of heart and desire with some of the Celtic teams this season, and that's one thing you can't criticise Anthony Ralston for. And I think he's brought that. I think he's brought that to the defence. I think he's brought that to the forward line as well. That kind of that aggressiveness, you know what I mean? I don't
he steps out to make a tackle, Mark. If it's 50-50 or 60-40 against, he'll step out and go to win it. We don't see enough of that for the back four.
And there's a picture of him, Carl McGregor, and I think it's Ida, and Celtic scored a penalty at Hibs. And it's like putting one in us in a Celtic tap, mate. You can see the pure passion. If you watch Celtic score the 4th and 5th goal, no matter where he is in the pitch, he's going off, he's not celebrating. And we need that. I don't want these people that say you need a fan at the park. There's more to it than that. But seeing it comes to moments like this, key times in the season when performances aren't good, sometimes you've got to roll your sleeves up and just start doing the dirty work. And that's what he's good at, mate. You know what I mean? He'll run all day for you, and he's strange, stupid style of running, but he'll still do it. And he does run like he's got bricks in his shoes. But I think I said this to you last weekend. I genuinely believe that his goal against Ross County won us a league under Ange. I genuinely believe that was a goal. I think in 10 years' time, when you go to the pavilion or whatever it is, and there's players for that team talking, I think they'll all say that was a moment we said we can do this. And I think if we win the league this year, I think me and you do a pod, and the folks saying that challenge at Easter Road was a catalyst to us win the league.
Love it, mate.
And you know what?
We're signing you up for that now, Mark. If we win the league, then it's because of Ralston's challenge. That'll be an episode. We'll do it for every angle, mate. We're going to get multicam, mate. There's a photo of it. Did you consider it for this angle, though? You actually slid an extra few inches further than I thought. And, mate, this will be box office.
See, at the time, I know when they scored, then we get a penalty and it's all up in there. But seeing at the time when that challenge, that instant, you thought, right, didn't you? You went, let's do it. You thought, like, he's won the ball there. He shouldn't have won it.
Yep, 60-40 against, 70-30 against me. Let's see more of that.
Maybe more than that. I think, and the boy, was it that Ewan or something? He's a lot bigger than him. He just went right through him. And I thought, I just felt at the time that second I went, he's went for this. And I love Ralston. Not just for his ability, I think he's he's like putting me out in the park. You know what I mean? I think he would run through the brick wall, and I don't think he would care how sore it was. And I think, see, right now, sometimes there's players that will, O'Reilly, that's graceful, get you through a match, but we're needing the dark arts.
Personality as well.
What's that?
Personality, Mark.
Yeah, personality.
You do need it. And I think you're getting called a dinosaur if you don't. Yeah.
No, but you need, for every Matt O'Reilly 24/7 athlete, you need a Neil Lennon inside that team. You need somebody who's going to, probably a bad example, but the same.
Oh, we win the league, I'll come up and cut your grass, Judge.
Oh, mine's artificial. Oh, no, back to a lie. No, my front to me. No problem, Gary, mate.
Thanks, Gary.
I'm up for that, mate. In fact, you can brush my. I've got the gutter needs cleaned and
he's just a full handyman now.
Gary. On a double, you can do that. I know. But I think you can only be. I accuse a lot of Celtic players of being too passive, too nice like Callum McGregor, like Kyogo, and too passive like Callum McGregor. You do need a bit of dig, somebody who's going to just can eat it up. You know what I mean? You do need that. You know what I mean? And maybe that's. I think the Celtic teams in general. O'Neill's team was different. He had like 10 6-foot players, and you know what I mean. But as a club, are too nice.
Yeah, but that attitude. See O'Neill identified so quickly, and he said this many times. That Rangers are huge.
Right.
But they're actually like it doesn't mean the club. He goes the actual profile of the player. He goes, and I think that O'Neill would have found an angle had it been that or something. They go, we need a taller team. I think that would have just been what he'd have done. But undeniably, what he didn't just bring in was the same way you can't just bring in and have 11 players who are technically brilliant in their position. That's great, but you've got to have a streak. Some of them have to have the streak. Some of them you want to be consummate professionals, really level-headed, kind of not that flustered because they'll do calm things in the ball when pressure's on. But also you need guys that go, this matters more than my pay packet. No. This isn't a job to me. You do need that aspect in it. And I think when you look back through time, all the Celtic teams that we've really identified with, I think there's been a really a perfect blend of that in it. I always talk about the Strachan one where, you know, it was meant to be Scott Brown, remember, was a silky player when he signed for Celtic, you know? Remember him doing the sort of backheel drags in his debut and all that at the touchline? And I thought, wow, this boy looks, he was silky. And that was kind of, I know people will be watching this going, what are you talking about from a younger generation? It was him in ex-AC Milan, Massimo Donati. That was meant to be a midfield too. By the end of the season, to get us over that line, it was Paul Hartley and Barry Robson. I always looked at that as the example and go, there's no two ways Brown, Donati are better players than Paul Hartley and Barry Robson. There's no doubt, though, in my mind, give me Barry Robson and Paul Hartley to win me the last 10 games in a row, or whatever it was, to get that league.
Well, look at the night we won 2-1. I think that game was won the first minute when, was it Hartley went right through Christian Daly?
Robson went through Christian Daly. Robson with the
and I was sitting in my pal Steg, and we went like that straight away, get into this mob. You know what I mean? It was a long night, and we just got a goal in the last minute or so, but I think that's what I'm talking about. I think moments can win you matches, right? But moments can win you seasons as well. You know what I mean? And you know, I look back at the season we lost the league on goal difference. We were beating Dundee 6-1 with about a minute to go, and Lee Wilkie scored to make it 6-2, and the place just fucking it went flat. You know what I mean? This is about 3 or 4 games to go, by the way. Nobody knew goal difference was coming. We all suspected it might come, but nobody knew. And I remember the place was falling flat with that. I made it 6-2 to Celtic. I'm pretty sure, like it was Lee Wilkie. I'm pretty sure it was him, and he felt it. And that's, I mean, you look back, you go, he didn't score that. Thompson scores that.
Yeah.
And you do, and I'm dubious about this season's end of, you know, how it's going to go play, how it's going to play out. But I think you see these wee moments that begin to add up for Celtic. They begin to come more and more frequent. Like the Ida, who nobody wanted, scoring the last minute winner against Hibs in a match that we're shiting. You know what I mean? Kuhn, who couldn't kick a ball, scores a deflected goal against Aberdeen to get us a point. These things are beginning to add up a wee bit.
And no one's talking about that.
No,
That's what I like. That's what I
no.
like right now. Yeah, and this is what I was trying to spin on Monday. It was when I kind of went through quite a lot of facts. There are facts, and saying, this sounds okay to me. That's okay to me. That's actually he's doing okay with that. And I'm looking at it right now, and as you say, just wee bits of fortune actually maybe are favouring Celtic. This amazing run that Rangers are on right now apparently includes defeat to Celtic. And maybe when you look at the opposition, we've all agreed there's been moments Celtic have been shockingly boring to watch this season. Shite, for want of a better word, right? I'll just call it as it is. We've been shite at times. Still top of the league. That in itself, bit fortunate. Mickey Beale getting a run of 10, 15 games with him in charge of those idiots. The blind leading the blind at that point. That was fortunate. And you're right. Sometimes just a wee bit of luck, mate, And that might be what's happening this year. I feel more positive now that I think the siege mentality's begun. I see it in you tonight, which I think it's now fuck everyone else. Let's get absolutely, round the team. Let's try and unite as a fan base.
Yeah.
Just put all the other shit to one side. I think with that, and by the way, they all think the other lot are going to win it. Just add that in, just add to the mix.
And it does, and see this siege mentality, it does work. I remember we played Rangers at Ibrox. I think it was a few years ago now, and there was nobody giving us, not one person was giving us. And Neil Lennon, we won 2-0 at Ibrox, and Neil Lennon came up to the studio at full time, and he was sitting in the studio with whatever free fucking dumplings that was normally there. And he's like to them straight, he was like, we lost this match before it started. And here we are, we won 2-0 with it. And I thought that's you need that sometimes, and you do find sometimes, I don't think there's a newspaper in the dressing room with headlines. I think it's beyond that now. You know what I mean? I think it's people just know what's been said online.
Look at my phone.
Look at what he said about you. He says you can't.
Definitely, that's
I think that happens. Listen, I say this to my dad once a week, maybe twice a week. Jock Dean says, as long as they think that we're just lucky, they'll never find a way of stopping us. And I think that's true with Celtic.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Every week I'll say it to my dad once or twice. We'll have a conversation with Celtic. And I always say, see if they keep telling us it's luck, they keep telling us the day's coming or rest it, that's great, because you keep telling Rangers are brilliant. I'm watching a lot of this analytics stuff recently, right? Just because I immerse myself in it. We all do. But see, the thing is, Rangers are kind of getting to the top end of their performance levels in so many years. Celtic are kind of gone down the way, so it's a wee bit of an balance that way. But seeing you measure them up relatively against each other, they're not that far apart. They went their peak in the last few years, and Celtic at their lowest in the last few years. It's balanced. Rather than going Rangers up the way, it's getting balanced out. The only difference between Celtic and Rangers is they took their bad spell at the beginning of the season. We had a bad spell in December to the end of January. I think there's two reasons for that. I think the inactivity in the summer transfer window, and then again the inactivity in January, led to this cloud over the club that I think the players felt, the managers felt. I think the full place, the supporters were in a downer because of it.
You and me?
Yeah, me, of course, and you know what? We've got to argue with ourselves now and just say, as much as we want to just bring up the fact that we're playing Burnaby, trust me, we're all reasoning about that, right? But we can't get about it now, Bhoycie. You know what I mean? And I do think that it's more sweeter when you think everybody else didn't give you a fucking chance. You know what I mean? And as Celtic have always been underdogs. You know what I mean? Maybe no in Scottish football, but we always like to have this element where people was giving us no chance. You know what I mean? Look at European Cup final. I mean, we were written off even before we went there, and end up at Celtic Park. So let them do it, Bhoycie. Let their manager come out with these snippets, and let all these journalists come out and give you doomsday scenarios about Celtic and all the rest of it. One of my biggest critics on the pod is criticism on the pod is I feel I'm negative. Do you know what that is? That's probably a deep-rooted fear that I'm right. That I'm so negative. I deep-rooted fear. I'm right. I don't want to.
I think you are. I think you're. This is the most honest I've heard you reflecting. I have thought that for a while. That exact thing. I think at times Mark's saying out loud his worst fears because if it happens, he can go, "I considered it to happen. It's not crept up on me, and it's not." It's like facing your fears, sort of thing. But you're doing it. You're doing it in advance. You're like,
it's like if I watch a game, like see almost like you users normally see my post-match reactions to us beating Rangers. I always put them in the podcast chat, and nobody would know it was me because of how hype and excited I get. Do you know something? That's like a mixture of relief. I probably think that I'm more relief when Celtic won than I was celebrating. It's like I weight off my shoulders, and we're all the same. I'm just not going to talk myself here, but I think a lot of it comes from the fact that you do fear that Greg Taylor can take one injury and we'll get Burnaby. You do fear, oh my God, we've not replaced Kyogo, we're going to end up playing Mayo. And then the reality hits, and then you do see these things happening, and it just compounds you even worse. But one thing that on the players we've got just now, I might be wrong here, right? But I think we've seen the worst if it's going to happen. We've lost our full back four. We've lost our full back four, and we're getting through games. We've lost O'Reilly for matches this season, Hatate for the full season, Bernardo, Holm, who's playing, who's not playing. We've lost our wingers for multiple reasons, and we've got through it relatively. I think we're over that stage. I think we're getting to the stage now where I think you're going to see Hatate coming back next month. You're going to see Cameron Carter-Vickers back for the next couple of weeks.
Suddenly it carries more weight, doesn't it? Suddenly it sounds like we're rounding the troops here. You know what I mean? The boys are, the thing is, what always happens in these scenarios is they start getting a bit big for their boots. They start slagging off the boys, and it's like just hold fire. You've been beaten twice by us. In fact, even during this minging run of performances Celtic have been going through, and I think performance levels have been really, really low the last few months. We still beat you in that. We beat you in your own patch with that makeshift back four that we were discussing. Now we're going to get a stronger squad for the running that's going to be ready to rock. And I just think sometimes it's like they will start, as I say, getting too big for the boots. You slag off the boys. You know how the story ends. I'm feeling more confident, Mark, for whatever reason it's got to, and you touched on this earlier, the psychological impact of them not going top last night. Now, they might have had record numbers of shots on goal, but that gives you a feeling, can you really get over the line? Because that is it. And the question I always ask is, can you hang? See, when it comes to the real crunch, folks like Celtic haven't been in a title race. When was the last one they've been in? Yes, they won the league, but they won it at a canter. This title race stuff, I would rather have the amount of trophies in the bank that we've had over the last few years as the sort of experience to draw on than what they do. I think when it comes to getting over the line, last night was an opportunity for them to metaphorically get over a line. Couldn't do it.
Well, anybody that suggests that we can't handle a race, every May the 30th till mid to late August, Celtic are underdogs in the media because Rangers have always signed the Joey Barton, who's going to win the league for them. Tavernier's scoring goal. They've always got. It's like pre-World Cup for England. Nobody could beat England. See, pre-World Cup, there's not a team that could match England in the press. But the reality is it's played on grass. It's not played in the media. So we have had all this shit since day dot, and we tend to come out on top. So it's no news. It's nothing new to us. It's whether they can handle the pressure because they poke the fire of pressure. I mean, I remember Mark Warburton saying he walked out. He never knew it was happening. He walked out and he seen that going for 55, and he says, "What the fuck's that? I knew we had no chance of winning that league. We had no chance." He said,
Do you believe it? Do you believe that the manager of the football club didn't know they were doing a tifo that around? I think, see with these retrospective...
I don't know that, mate, honestly. I really don't. I really don't think... I think, to be quite honest with you, I think they work like 13, 14 hours a day, these managers, and I think they just focus on the next match and analytics and the rest of it. I don't think that's the commercial side.
I think you'd get wind of it though, no? I think that a lot of these interviews, and I don't mean Mark Warburton personally, I think a lot of them rewrite history. Like a lot of them I was a model pro every day, and you're like, shut up, mate. Anyway, Judge, before we go, It comes down to this. Mitchell has came into the chat and he asked one question, and we are going to answer it very briefly before I rock, because I'm heading out.
Okay, up to
But
go
the
to
question is simple. Listen, lads, do you think we will win the league?
I don't know, mate. I really don't know.
Oh, he's close. I think
If
one
you
more
asked
week.
me, I was saying no last week.
Yes.
Last week I was saying no.
That's true.
And I might see different on Saturday. I mean, they've got a game against St Johnstone on Sunday, I believe. Might be tricky for them. Craig Levine's always tricky to play against.
Totally, man.
So you never know. I mean, sliding doors or is I tell you what. I tell you one thing's for sure, right? I tell you one thing's for sure. I would rather be sitting the new in a position we're in just now with the players I've got coming back, Katati, Van Dijk, of course, Carter Vickers, and Taylor, that's going to improve with 11, than sitting at our very, very peak just now and still being second.
I agree with that, mate. There is one way I used to finish off the shows when the bus was kind of first in its first few months. I think it's when Ange finally got to the top, and I'm going to finish it the same again tonight. Glasgow Celtic, top of the table.